Hi and welcome to this tutorial for transitioning from an idle pose to an aim pose. I've created this with one specific person in mind, so I've pitched at what I think is their level, but I've released this to everyone in case it's useful to anyone that comes across it. That being said, if people think the way I've done this is kind of good, you can drop me some comments, ask me for any clarifications or any requests, and I'll try my best to have a go. So this course isn't for a complete beginner. You'll need to know how to navigate your way around the engine and know what a blueprint is and how to use them, how to create them, and things like that. So what you'll be getting in this tutorial is the transition from this idle pose to aim. As you can see, the legs still move while you're aiming. To be able to follow along with this video, you'll need to have gone through this documentation in the Unreal Engine site. I'll leave a link in the description below. This helps you create an aim pose using the rifle pose within the animation starter pack. So you just need to do stages 1 and 2. So create the aim poses and then create the aim offset. And then that aim offset will be used in the transition that I'll show you between idle to aim. This implementing the aim offset just keeps you in the aim position, so it's not got the transition step. If you want to use a pistol pose, then you're going to have to create those individual aim poses yourself, as in up, down, left, right. That will become clear as you go through this aim offset. The animation starter pack, if you go into the marketplace within Unreal Engine, click free and then type in animations within the filters, and you'll see there's an animation starter pack, so you can use that. That's what I'm using. So here's a quick view of the poses I'm talking about that you'll have to create if you use the pistol. So you got your down pose, your up pose, your left up pose, your right up pose, etc. Dead center pose. You'll need all those in order to create your aim offset, which looks like this. Okay, to start with, I've created a new project using a third-person template. And to get going, we're going to go straight into settings and create some action mappings in project settings. So we'll go into, just check my videos functioning with the right clicks. Yes. Let's go into the action mappings here, open that up, hit the plus sign there, change this to aim. And then we're going to assign a gamepad left trigger, and we're also going to hit this plus sign next to the aim and hit mouse right click, right mouse button. Okay, that's project settings done. As a starting point, we'll just go into the third person character, go into the event graph. I'll just attach that. Adjust the size of that unnecessarily, that was too big. Scroll down here, you can ignore all that, and just type in aim. Right click and type aim. Okay, we'll create a new variable for aim in, and we'll just say aim in, and we'll just drag that out here and make a copy of that. So there is on pressed, we'll set aim in to be true, and on released, aim in will be false. We'll come back to this a bit later on, but that's essentially all the actions that we're going to need here. File and save that. Next, click on to the mesh component on the left hand side, and on the right hand side under the details, if yours is oriented different to this, just details panel. Under animation, you'll see anim class, third person anim. Click on the browse to asset and content browser, and then you'll see it's here. Double click on that to open up the third person animation blueprint. It's taking me into jump loop to jump end for some reason, so just move into the event graph, just because that's what we're going to be using. Close off these two windows that are open for you. We're not going to do anything immediately here, but we are going to add in the variable aim in here as well, because aim in the blueprint for the third person character will be red, and then this aim in within the animation blueprint will be updated after reading it. The next thing we need to do is move into the animation graph. So here on the left hand side you've got graphs, event graph, and animation graphs, anim graph. Double click on the anim graph. Start off, move this default state machine, drag out and type cache, and then new save cached pose. Rename this in the details panel to default cache. And then what we'll do is right click in this area, write default cache, and use cache pose default cache. And if you just connect those up for now, I'll say that's just basically doing the same thing. But the reason why we do this is so that way we can use multiple versions of this for, we can copy and paste this into multiple places to make our code a little easier, or our blueprint a little easier to read, whereas in the default state machine you can't have more than one of this particular node. So it just makes things a lot easier. Okay, so now we're going to start using the animations. So to begin with, I'm just going to move this output pose away. I'm going to right click and bring in the center aim. So for me, I've named it idle pistol CC. And I'm going to drag out of here, type in layered blend per bone. I'm going to put in the idle pistol into blend pose as 0. Leave the blend weights as 1, but we do need to configure in the details panel the layer setup. So under layer setup you'll see 0 lower down there. Under branch filters, click the plus symbol, open up and expand the two members, and the bone name that we're going to be blending at is called, in my case, spine underscore 01. So that's just at the waistline, and the depth will be 1, blend depth. You'd also want to say mesh space rotation blend. Okay, so that's the blend per bone done. And we'll see now, if you just attach that into place, pile, you'll see now he's in a blend pose of the top half is in your aim position, and the bottom half, although you can't see it right now, is in walk mode. But if you you can use this animation preview editor at the bottom right hand side to show that the bottom half is actually moving when he moves at speed. Or if I just press that reset button, I can press play, and you can see you're just in your standard aim pose. Right now you can't move up and down, but that's just how it looks. So the next thing we want to do is add that aim offset. So we'll drag out, I've named my aim offset AO underscore pistol underscore aim. It's the aim offset, don't use lookat, use aim offset. Just put that in the middle, connect up the dots, and we're going to promote these two to variables. So drag out, promote to variable, drag out, promote to variable, put them somewhere where I can see properly. I'm going to rename them slightly, for my own benefit really, make it a little clearer to say aim yaw, and then here I'll put aim pitch. So right now they're not going to actually contain any values, but they will be set later on. So this will allow us to move around. I'll just compile and save that. So in order to bring this value into place, we're going to move into the event graph of the animation. We're going to, first of all, because we're going to need this delta time value, we're going to promote this to a variable, connect that up in between, delta time x. You can rename that if you like, but I'm just going to leave that as delta time x, although I don't use spaces. Forget about delta time x. I'll just, yep, okay, delta time x. Compile and save that. We'll then drag off the try get pawn owner, and we're going to type in cast to third person character, because that's the character that I'm using, and we'll connect that at the end of the set speed. So from here, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to set this aiming value here to the aiming value that we set within the third person character. So when we right click, we'll just drag off as third person character, type in aim, get the aiming value, and plug that into our animation aiming value. Connect those two. So now, whenever we're in the third person character and we press aim in, or then we release aim in, it will read that value and update the value of aim in within the animation blueprint. So that will come into its effect later on. Oh, in fact, actually, let's just show you how that's going to work right now. So we go back to the animation graph, the anim graph within the animation blueprint. And then what we'll do is we'll drag out here and say blend poses by bool. So when true, so we'll drag out this aiming value, get the aiming value of the animation blueprints. So when this is true, connect this up, we'll be aiming, and when it's false, we're going to get this cached value, the default pose. I'm going to connect that to false. Leave everything else as it is. Compile and save that, and now you can see you've got your standard default pose as the original value, and then when we aim using the animation preview editor, he's aiming, and it's not aiming. So if I press play, you can see now that when I'm in the window, if I right click, he's aiming, and now that's your initial transition. There's a few other little things you can do. One of the things, obviously, he's not looking up and down, so we're going to have to fix that. Okay, back to the event graph for the looking up and down. So you can drag in aim yaw, set that, and aim pitch. Set that just as a reference to pitch first, I think, because how we're going to work it, that's just going to be tidier. And just connect those up. So that's what we're going to work on next. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is drag off as the third person character. I'm going to get the control rotation. And we're also going to get the actor rotation. From here we're going to grab the delta of the two of these, and then from this delta we're going to plug this into, well actually that'll plug it into the wrong nodes. This will be the target, so just a step earlier than that, above we're going to make a rotator, and then we're going to drag in the aim yaw and the aim pitch, plug those into their respective pitch and yaw values and leave the roll blank. Drag out of here and say R interp 2, and then connect the delta into the target. And now we've got delta time here as well, so we're going to grab our delta time variable, plug that into delta time, just tidy up a little bit, and then the interp speed I say 15. You can change that later on if you like. Then we split this struct value, right click, split over the return node. Now you can see we've got pitch and yaw values. So from here we'll just drag these over. You can see you've got the pitch, drag that into the yaw, drag yaw into yaw, pitch into pitch, save, compile. Now what we'll have, let me just double check, I think that was everything. We right click, and now you can see the pitch and the yaw values, they move up and down just nicely. The additional step we can do, although it doesn't look like you actually needed it really, is just to make sure you, in case you get any problems here, is take this pitch, drag out and say clamp angle. We'll do -90 and +90. And we'll copy and paste that and drag that out of the yaw and connect that in the angle degrees there, and then just plug those in between the interp and the pitch values there. So that'll just clamp the angles in case for whatever reason you're going to get a rotation angle where he's able to rotate and look directly behind himself. So it doesn't make much of a difference to what I can see right now, but as you can see, still maxed out at the 90-degree angles here. So that's about a good place. You could always stop there, but there's another couple of things I tend to do is when you're aiming in, bring it in, so bring in the sights. So as an example here, I do actually reposition the camera boom, in fact, because right now quite low down on this character. I feel like I can't really, I prefer to have it slightly higher, so I'll click the camera boom, and my preferences are around 40 on the Y location and 60 on the Z. Maybe I'll change that again at some point, but as you can see I'm just sitting a bit higher on the character right now then. And when we're in the third person character event graph, drag out of aim, grab the camera boom from the components, drag that in, and then off the node of the camera boom, type in target arm length. So we want to set the target arm length. And from here, we're going to promote a new variable, but I might rename that. So rather than target arm length, I'm going to say, as we're going for the top press, so we're going to say pistol sight, which would be, say, I'll compile that so I can write that in 50. It's a bit closer, and then, oops, sorry, because that's already connected. Connect that up. And let's copy those two, drag off and promote another variable, and we'll call that idle sight. Compile that, and now we can change that value to the standard 300. That's what my current setting is. You can change that to whatever preference you like. Compile and save, and now if you press play, you can see this is my current viewing angle, and then when I zoom in, I'm just over the shoulder so I can get a better view of how I can aim. You can adjust this however you need. Just go a bit off camera there when I walk backwards to adjust that. You could probably fix that actually by this next step that I usually do, which is character movement. Drag off the character movement component from up here in the components. Pull out the node and type in use controller desired rotation, and you want to set that to true. Then drag out another node, the character movement controller, and say orient, set the orient rotation to movement, connect those up, and that will be false. And connect that one up. And then what we'll do is we'll copy and paste those, and then just switch that one to false and that one to true. So you're resetting. This is the original setting, and this is the setting when we aim. So compile and save that, and what you'll see is a slightly different setup now, so you don't have that problem. So when you're aiming, you're always looking down the barrel of the gun. So when I'm running backwards, I'm still looking forwards, and then when I stop aiming, I have freedom of movement, but when I'm aiming, I am just looking down the barrel of the gun. If you're wondering how to create the aim poses for the pistol, unfortunately, it's a little painstaking. I had to come in here and just manually adjust, clicking on the arms, manually adjust, and as you can see, they cross over, so then you have to select the arms and adjust them in different ways. But my advice in the first instance would be just make it really rough. Don't try and make it perfect, otherwise you'll be there all day and it'll take you days just to get a nice pose in. Whereas what you want to do is get the functionality in there, and then when you get better poses or you have more time, you can refine and improve the poses as you go along. So what I would do is come here and duplicate this and edit the duplication, and just keep duplicating, renaming, and then editing and saving until eventually you have your 9 poses, as you can see. Don't forget to set the additive settings when you do this though. So there are other ways to achieve this, but this was just one nice simple way that you guys can get started with it. And if I think of other ways to do it, and I'll try and put more videos together in future. And if anyone has any requests, I'm happy to take a look and see if I can produce a video for you for that. Okay, thanks for watching.